All right, so it's Happy Aloha Friday today. We forgot to let everybody know they were going to completely skip over it and go straight into the weekend unless we do these live streams and let everybody know it's
Yes,
Aloha Friday.
friendly reminder.
And
Happy Aloha Friday.
So, Adrian, who do we have with us today? Do this part.
All right, our guest today is a coach and fitness advocate from Costa Mesa, California. He believes that to be a great mentor, advisor, and coach in any field, it is best when that person has experienced what they preach.
He used to be overweight from first grade to 10th grade. He started lifting weights to get in shape for a position on the football and did everything to shed 55 pounds in 5 months. And that started his fitness journey that never ended to date. Please welcome our guest, Eric Huerta.
Hi, thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, we just came back from Mexico, so I have to say it. Bienvenidos.
Nice.
So, I guess how we want to start off with is how
we got connected.
Yeah, how we got connected with Coach Eric. So I think, was it Claudia or Sophia?
It was, no. So as we were talking before the stream about our trip to Mexico, how we like to go and visit this orphanage. And so it was last year around this time that we met our friend Claudia, and I noticed, wow, Claudia, like you are looking wonderful. Like, what are you doing? You have to tell me.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm just going to introduce you to my coach, Eric. And then like she did the group text, and we immediately got connected, and just doing that initial Zoom with him and understanding his background and his story, I just felt very comfortable having him be my coach.
So I think the number one tip that we have for everybody through this live feed that we're doing today is just book a consultation. Because Eric, you're still charging like $2,000 for the initial consultation, right?
No. So it's much more affordable, and I try to make it as affordable as I possibly can, just because of the fact that everybody always hears all these exercise things, right? That's going on, this fitness and that. It's not till I actually get to talk to them, and the lead or the doorway thing, lead way getting into a consult with me is when I actually tell them everything that I provide, right? And it's a lot different than most online nutritional coaches are out there, because I dive deep into a lot of things.
And we can speak firsthand for that. I will tell everybody right now, keep telling Coach he needs to charge more. So before he takes us up on our advice, you guys better get connected with Coach Eric and get signed up. So free consultation. I think I'll tell you right now, I remember I really had one question that I asked you in the consultation. Not sure if you remember, but I just said, what's the number one thing that all your clients are needing from you? And the number one thing you said was protein, or you're seeing is protein deficiency. I like getting just boom right into it with the people that are watching right now. Talk about protein deficiency. Why is that good, bad, or what's all that about?
One of the main things, and anybody listening now, one of the main things I want you to get out of this, and if there's only one thing you get out of this, is your body needs a certain amount of protein on a daily basis just to sustain the muscle you currently carry. And why it's so important just to sustain the muscle you currently carry is because the more muscle you carry, I'm not talking about putting more on, but the more muscle you carry, the more calories your body will burn on a daily basis. And what happens is we start to get busy. Some people maybe only have 2 meals a day. Maybe they're working here, haven't taken care of the kids, running around. And at the end of the day, they do not have the amount of protein they need to sustain the muscle they carry. Well, that starts to happen on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly and yearly basis. So before you know it, maybe between their 30s and 40s, they've lost 15 pounds of muscle. And that muscle is extremely difficult to put back on. We'll get into a whole bunch of hormonal stuff that's needed in order for that to happen. But that doesn't come back on. So what starts to happen is because they've lost that muscle, their body's burning less calories, then that body starts to gain more body fat than it does anything else. And it's hard to keep up with it, besides all the other junk food that they've been eating,
That's everybody got the COVID-19, the 19 pounds they put on during the pandemic.
100%.
So the protein deficiency, and then you also talked a little bit about like the hormone. Let's delve into that a little bit, because I was having some challenges, and none of my doctors could really figure it out. I was having MRIs, multiple MRIs on my brain. They thought maybe I was having some kind of seizures, but really it was a hormonal imbalance.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about how specialized you are in the hormone side.
Testosterone.
Yes.
And that's the part where the difference between me and any other nutritional coaches. I don't just look at calories or macros and the deficiency at the end of the day of your calories, caloric intake. Usually, now the body's supposed to work a specific way, male or female, right? My background in bodybuilding makes it so that I need to know the way the organs in the body to work so I can help my clients manipulate them and do what we want them to do with whatever goals you have or they have, right? So what happens is I'm not just, if I don't see somebody that's trying to lose body fat, if that's their goal, I'm not going to look at after 30 days and nothing's happening. I'm not going to say, well, maybe just less food and more cardio, right? I don't do that. I got to look at the labs. Usually that person is not healthy enough internally. Hormones aren't balanced enough for them to even achieve that goal of what they're trying to do. And sometimes we have to backtrack, and that has to happen first before we can actually get to, hey, if I'm eating this much and doing this much cardio, the output should be this much. So my job as a coach, I look at everything, right? And the majority of my clients are between 35 and 65 right now. So the clients that I'm getting, they're not going to the gym and eating a little bit or doing 80% of what they're supposed to be doing and getting results. They are at a plateau. They can't, like you, they don't understand why this is no longer happening. So usually when I look at the labs and I do a lab review with them, and they're labs that a conventional doctor is usually not going to look at, more of the bio-T physicians that I practice with, we look at specific things. I can sit there and pinpoint, hey, unless we fix this and this and this, I'm not going to sell you on the perception that if you eat properly and you work out properly, this is going to happen, right? There's some things that have to be balanced out first. And that usually happens after the age of 35. I've seen it as young as 21 and 19, for male or female, it doesn't matter. It just depends. Everybody has, not the same organs. Some might have a little bit of error other than others, for the same reason that my son's friend who's 10 years old is full-blown diabetic using insulin, right? It's not something he did. There's an error in his organ. So some people might have an underactive thyroid from the get-go. Some people might be testosterone deficient from the get-go, estrogen prone. It just depends on that individual, what they've been doing, how much junk food we've been eating with a bunch of preservatives since we've been kids up to a certain point, because preservatives is what's destroying everybody here in the United States, right? All the junk food we eat, our body's a filter. It was never, ever meant to filter out preservatives. And over time, they do damage. And they're called endocrine destroyers, and they will make your thyroid underactive. They will make you estrogen prone. They will lower your testosterone levels. So sometimes you got to take a step back, get those things in line, and then the diet and the workouts are going to start to work, right?
I think it was important too, the diet thing, because I hadn't gone on the plan with you, and Adrian started before me, and we had kind of talked about the protein deficiency, and I was one of those people working out all the time, but just staying the same. And I really didn't change anything. I wasn't even on the plan. I just said, I'm going to take in more protein. And as soon as I started taking in more protein, I was probably doing the wrong amounts and the wrong timing of it. But even screwing that up and just taking in more protein, I noticed on my in-body scan that the muscle started to go up and fat started to go down, which is what you want. And then when I 100% got into what we call, Adrian, it's called the TTP. What's that?
Trust the plan.
Trust the plan.
Just trust it and just follow it.
And doing all the things that you have incorporated, because you have a workout. You have, the daily food journals. You've got the hormone things, the
blood work,
the blood work. And I think too, what I realized too, if I was to do a consultation for you to teach me all the things that I've learned over the time that I've been working with you, that consultation would be like 40 hours long, because you can't. We've got to get into this program with you. And that's when I start with the daily food journals, like, hey, let's talk about this and let's talk about that. And then I'd have questions, and then you were really good about answering them. And so over time, I think I've learned a lot, but there's still more to learn. So that's why I want to continue with the program.
And I love how you customize it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about like that intake and the kind of questions that you're asking, and how you use that, the family history to craft this TTP.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'll go back to every individual is different. And what it might work for one is probably not going to work for the other. When we do the 1 hour consultation, which usually lasts an hour or more, I ask the questions that I need. So I gather as much information as I possibly can, depending on that person's background, what they tried in the past, in regards to me making the recommendations that I need to make for them to achieve their goals. That's just the very tip of the iceberg, just like Attilio said, right? Once we start to get into the plan, what that body does, according to what I have, it's starting to have it in the very beginning do, everybody's reaction might be different. So then it's my job to assess the situation and make the adjustments so that we can get to the point or close to the point where that person's trying to achieve their goals. Where I come in regards to what I've done is I'm the type, people look at me all the time and they say like, oh my God, you must have great genetics. And no, I look at a cupcake and I'm going to get fat. That's just the way it is. I have to really watch what I do because I destroyed it at a very early age, having Frosted Flakes, putting more sugar on it, and Red Cap milk right before bed and going to sleep. I'm surprised to make myself a diabetic, right? But once I did all that, now I have to, like I said, the majority of my clients are the ones that have already hit the plateau. They're looking for answers of it's not just diet and exercise. Hey, I've been there. I've done that. I know exactly what you're talking about. More than likely, it's not you. It's what your body's no longer doing. So we have to make these adjustments and fix it. And now I can relate to them because I was that overweight person, right? I know what it's like to want to crave things. And the way I learned it, just off of self-taught magazines at the age of 15 when I was in high school and did it. And that bumped my interest to like, hey, man, how does the body actually work, right? But you have these coaches out there that have never been overweight in their life. They're genetically gifted and they think that, hey, this will work for everyone. Not so. It depends, especially like, if you have a female that's in, 30, between in her 30s, doesn't have a child, something might work for that one, but not for one that's had 2 or 3 kids. Completely different story. You got to really look at the labs, and those babies, whether male or female, took a lot with them. It took a lot from them. So sometimes we have to make these adjustments. And again, I'm the one that's going to tell them like, hey, unless we fix this, we're not going to get to where you want to get. And and it's not about, oh yeah, if you just work out properly and you eat good, this is going to happen. No, not so. There's certain things we got to fix. And so I kind of give them that information, and obviously it's their decision whether they want to make it or not, Yeah. And normally when they do, and they listen to me and they trust the process, it's a night and day difference. It's not overnight because they didn't get to that point overnight. But I'm there with the service that I provide. It really is a handheld concierge service to the point where I don't want you guessing. I want you asking, and I will tell you exactly what needs to be done. And whatever's thrown at me, I've heard it. It's just, I've heard it the entire time. So yeah. I have a revolving 30 clients all the time. That's as much as I can do at one time, considering the way I provide the service. And I can tell you right now that maybe 10% of them are the ones that if they just eat properly and work out good, everything's going to be fine. The rest, it's a puzzle. You got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's where I come in my experience and the Bio-T physicians that I've been working with since 2014 have taught me. And again, my whole nutrition and bodybuilding background, knowing how the way the organs in the body work, we will put the pieces of the puzzle together. And at the same time, I'm not that, you have to, most of the time, people that have issues or have eating disorders or comfort food for eating, you have to dive into what's going on in life too, right? And normally that's all together.
I think that's the questions you've asked too. Hey, what's going on? I noticed this different thing on your food journal today. Give me the backstory before I give you the grade. And so you're more of the context as opposed to just being so strict and black and white. The one tip I do give to everybody is just, you got to be super honest on those food journals, and Adrian and I, and we're going to give you guys a heads up. When you look at something and it's not on the list and you're not supposed to eat it, what you're going to say in your brain. I don't want to put this on the food journal for Coach Eric to see this, so I'm not going to eat it.
That's been very helpful in avoiding, certain types of foods. And then I just want to say like the list of what's allowed and what's not allowed, or like when like certain foods are allowed. It's a lot of
stuff. It's not like you're going to like a concentration camp or anything.
But it's very doable.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's like impossible. It's
not like you're training for Mr. Universe or anything like that.
Yeah, no. The whole the whole point of when people hire me is because I'm going to make a plan for you that's manageable and realistic according to whatever your lifestyle is. If I make something, if I give you one of my boxers, right? If I give you you might do it for 2 weeks and be like, I can't do this. It's giving me results, but I can't do it. It has to be manageable and realistic. And if you can see those non-scale wins and scale wins, and you don't feel like you're sacrificing too much and like, hey, I can do this for a long time, then you won. That's winning, right?
I think, yeah, for me too, as a client, is what I noticed is that, and I never really was focused on weight, but I think we get so focused on weight, and what you taught us is that if you're replacing fat with muscle, your weight's going to stay the same, but your body's going to change. So stop like, oh, I weigh 180, or now I'm 170 and now I'm 160. That's not it. It's
and that's why the 30-day photos that you take a look at are so important, along with that, once a week scale weight.
Yeah, scale weight doesn't tell the whole story.
So let's talk about that, the 30-day photos and the scale weight, and how you make adjustments based on what you see.
Yeah, why is it important to do that?
It's important in regards to profile photos because the scale is never going to tell you what's water, fat, or muscle, right? And everything that I do in regards to my programs, I am trying to get someone to look poolside ready at all times, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the training, how they're eating, how hard they actually want to go in regards to the strictness of the diet. The scale, you're never going to be walking around with the scale around your neck that says your weight, right? You just want to look a certain way, right? You just want to look a certain way, and people will be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, you look great, So we do the pictures because someone might be the exact same weight before and after, but they look completely different. They drop 2 sizes, right? There's clients that I have all the time. They're like, I don't understand. Like, the weight's not moving on the scale, but I know I'm 2 sizes down. I feel better. My hair's better. My skin's better. So, I mean, yeah. And those pictures
my
that you
before
have,
and afters.
yeah, and that's a 4-pound difference on the scale, which is insane, and that just, any type of new muscle tone or any type of muscle increase is only going to reflect as an increase on the scale. It doesn't mean that you gain fat. It just means there's quality weight there, right? So everything that I do with my clients, it's about losing body fat only and never sacrificing muscle in the process of doing so. Too many places out there hits lose weight, quote unquote, at all costs. That means muscle, water, and fat. And that's just not the way to do it. You will end up gaining more weight after the meal plan.
And I dropped about 6% body fat from the time I started with you, Eric, versus, where I'm at now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you are, and again, that doesn't happen without A+ food journals. Okay. Yeah. So that doesn't happen without that. I mean, I'm there to put the plan. I'm there to push you. I'm there to give you the advice. But if the client doesn't do it, it'll never happen. Right. So you did everything. You crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and your grades reflect the results.
You got to share with people, this is not some easy program, and it's not like you're running ultra marathons either. It's something that personal accountability, and you need the external check-in, because I was seeing Adrian's starting, right? So I'm seeing her daily food journals. And I'm like, oh, it looks like a huge pain in the ass. I don't want to do that.
He was so resistant.
And then I said, okay, well, I'm just going to do it because, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And if you want different results, you got to do some things differently. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? When you send me your plan, here's my tip for everybody. You got to read it, and then you got to read it again, and then you got to read it again. And I swear I've read that plan like 20 times and highlighted it and took it apart and, okay, this thing, and then that thing, and then ask questions. But you got to be committed to the plan. And I like the advice that you put in there. Everybody's going to have all their freaking opinions of, you should be doing that, you should be doing this, and you should be doing that. And I'm like, and they got a big pot belly and they're giving you all this advice, but just forget about that. Focus on what Eric's put before you. Make the investment of time and money and commit to the plan.
And call him, because you only take on 30 clients at a time.
You better call him.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I'll tell you, Eric, the best testimonial that I can give you is that people are at this, because you're about what, 20 weeks in, 15? Did you do 2 10s already?
I started in May. That was when I first started. It was like, I think it was on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
And you took a little break in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had 2 herniated discs. I had like a cruise, and we had a bunch of vacations, and still like even on the vacations, I wasn't exactly like super strict, but I knew what was good and what was not good, and really tried to limit the not so good things.
That's what I'm going to tell you, the people who are going to sign up. If you're waiting for the perfect time, there's no such thing.
Just do it now.
You just got to start. Vacations are going to come up. Injuries are going to happen. Just do the consultation and come into it and just do it. So I had to stop, with some injuries and stuff like that, and then I restarted. But I will say, Adrian and I, we've done it all. We've done the CrossFit. We do the yoga. We've done F45. We've done Orange Theory. All 24-hour fitness, anytime fitness, all of these different things that we've never. And so we're not like just people who don't work out. We work out all the time. But Eric helped us put it all together to get the results. And here's the testimony we'll give you, Eric. People at the gym are like, what are you guys doing? They're always saying that now. What are you guys doing?
Just the other day, I had a 24-year-old girl come up to me and was like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? And just was like in shock when I told her actually how old I was. And then I just said, you know what, why don't you start with increasing your protein? And, let's see how that works for you.
Yeah, there's 20-year-olds that wish they looked like you're, like the end goal, right? You guys are overachievers in regards to fitness. You guys were already training a lot. Atilio's an Energizer bunny, like nonstop, right? It was just about putting things together so you can start to see more of the results, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But again, you guys, when you do the plan, right? You guys work the plan, just like you said, when you were on your cruise, the plan kept you honest when you were on the cruise, right? Otherwise, you just kind of go do your own thing and do what you want to do and then kind of set back. But everything that I put in the plan, and I go off of that, right? Once the client gets into it, which you guys do, then it gets me more into it. This is my passion too. That excites me, and I want to see the difference. And that's why you guys look the way you look at the age, at our age.
At our age, because we're all in the same bracket.
Well, here's the beauty tip for everybody: lie upwards. So I tell everybody I'm 82 years old. They're like, "Oh, you look amazing." No. I think we were at a comedy show, and this comedian was getting ready to, when they pick you out of the crowd, it's they're getting ready to tear you up and stuff like that. But he's like, "How old are you?" And I said 55. And then he was like, so I kind of threw him for a loop. But then he called me a silver fox. I don't know what that means. But anyway.
It's a good thing, man.
Yeah.
Get in there.
But I think it just, it's not only the aesthetics too, it's the energy levels. For you people out there, everybody's working so hard, especially here in Hawaii or everywhere. We're all working hard. And you got to have those energy levels to maintain those, spending the time with your kids and your significant others and not alone, just your work, right? You don't want to be that dead guy coming home and you're like, I'm spent. And then your family starts resenting you for the amount of energy you're putting into your work because you got nothing left for them. So thank you, Eric, for giving us the energy to have it for our families.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. And I'm always appreciative of amazing students because you guys have been that from the very get-go. Okay.
Any last questions for Eric?
No, I think it's time to wrap it up. And if you had anything more that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover, now's your time, Eric.
Anything else?
No, just you guys got the website. You guys got the number. Contact me. I guarantee you that 1 hour spent with me will open a lot of eyes and at the same time, get rid of a lot of myths. And it's all about having your efforts match your results. So if you can do that, because there's so many people that go to the gym and a year later, they look exactly the same, right? You don't want to be that person because you want to feel like you're getting something out of all the energy you're putting out.
Yeah. I think you help put the intelligence and more of the wisdom into the workout and all the research that you've done. So thank you for that. So here's our little, you know what, when you call up Eric and you do your consultation, I want you to ask him only one question. Tell me about these cheat meals.
Right, you get to learn to love those and plan them out. For sure.
Well, thanks, Eric, for being on our Friday Live. This is going out to everybody. Please go to the website, give him a call, set that up with Eric. The only regret that you'll have, I guarantee you, the only regret you'll have is that you didn't start sooner with Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right.
So take us out, Sheen.
Take us out, Sheen.